Hello, my name is Arethia Brooks, and welcome to my channel here at Essentials to a Journey. And here we discuss all things self-care and mindset, particularly growth, expansion, and the evolution of your mind. But before we get into today's topic, for those of you who do not know who I am a writer, author, entrepreneur, and a certified health coach. If this is your first time, welcome to my channel, and if you are returning, welcome back. So let's go ahead and get into today's topic. In today's topic, we are discussing setting boundaries as an act of self-care and why this is important. And our first way that we want to look at setting boundaries is we want to discuss and look at setting boundaries with other people. So setting boundaries with other people, what this will look like is your ability to monitor the give and take between yourself and others. So being cognizant of the energy and the output that you are giving to others, as well as what you are receiving. So the information or the, transmission, or what it is that you're getting from another person. If this person is filling up your cup or if you feel depleted. So you want to be very cognizant. You want to be aware of the energy that you're giving to others, because this is helping you to be able to determine the boundaries that you will want to set with other people. And it's the reason why it's important is, as I just stated, it's important to be able to understand what type of information you're receiving from other people and whether they are either helping you to feel more you feel really good at the end of the day, or after having a conversation with them or being in their presence, or whether you feel depleted and you feel like you need to go home and recharge, or you need to cut the communication altogether because the relation is not serving you. And it's totally okay if some relationships are serving your wellness and you've come to terms with others who just are not in alignment with your growth, not in alignment with who you envision yourself being. It's okay to say no. And honestly, I think people would rather you create a boundary or set a standard or just say no to a relationship, because not only do you serve yourself, you're also serving them, so they know where to better place their own energy. So this is why I think it's very important to create boundaries with other people, and because it helps yourself and it also will help others. And the second way, or the second boundary that we want to check in on, is boundaries with technology. So boundaries with technology, what this can look like is monitoring the time that you spend on with technology. So whether this is your laptop, whether this is your phone, and I know with most of us who are out of the office or who are working from home, we spend a lot of time on our computers. That's where we spend a lot of hours on our computers, and that's totally okay. But it's also okay to take breaks and to monitor and to step back and allow yourself to get more grounded in your energy so that you have more to put out. And the reason why it's important to set those boundaries is, again, as I just stated, you want to be able to have more to fill up when it comes time to working on projects or working on your computer or doing things that are important to you that involves your cell phone or your computer. And another great way that you can also begin to set boundaries with technology is by monitoring the amount of time that you spend on your phone, because nowadays we're so attached to our phones. But you can also, I know for me personally, what I like to do is, especially at night when I am before I go to bed, I typically have, I have my work phone, I have the phone that's for my personal usage. I also have my smartwatch and have all of these things, and 90% of it I shut down completely. And so I turn my phones off, or I either put them on silent mode so that I'm able to get a great night's rest, but also I'm able to just kind of get rid and kind of keep my mind, like close my mind and close myself down to the technology that I'm so used to on a day-to-day basis. So Really setting a boundary with your technology will help you to feel a bit more grounded. This is why it's important, and it will help you to come back home to yourself, but also be able to put more out there, especially if you are working with technology. Another boundary that we want to consider, we want to set boundaries around as an act of self-care, is boundaries with our food. And I know this can be difficult for a lot of us. Me personally, I love food, but I also know that it's very important to set boundaries with it. And what this means is monitoring how much sugar intake I'm getting, especially if it's unnatural. If it's well, not necessarily unnatural, because it doesn't have to be natural, unnatural, even with natural sugars. But you want it to, monitoring your glucose, the amount of sugar that you're putting into your body. You want to monitor the amount of junk food. And the reason why it's so important to set boundaries around food and even consuming too much food is you want to make sure that your body is getting the right amount of nutrition, that it's getting the right amount of value, that you're inputting more good, and that you're not overdoing it, because overdoing it can lead to complications, can lead to a lot of health problems. This is why it's so important to monitor to create boundaries around food. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to overconsume, because it can lead to obesity. It can lead to, again, health problems. And it's also very important to have a really good relationship with your food, I believe. And so making sure that you're getting the appropriate amount, that you are creating balance within your food. So having the right amount of carbs, having a good enough amount of fruits and veggies, but also having yourself a nice sweet treat, but not overdoing it and not doing it on your plate, not putting too much on your plate, because I know that's a big thing, especially going out to dinners, or even if you're opting for fast food. I know that some people eat fast food in the world that we live in, and the portion sizes can be huge. And so just monitoring and setting a boundary around how much you're eating, how much you're consuming, is going to contribute to your overall health and wellness. So setting boundaries around food is super important. The next boundary that you want to consider as an act of self-care is setting boundaries with your finances. And this is another one that it can be a lot like food, something, because we love to splurge. We love to splurge on food. I know I do. I love splurging on treats and on things that I can buy that make me feel really happy. And while it's very important to buy those things that we love, taking the time out to do something wonderful for ourselves as an act of self-care, we want to set a boundary on how much we are consuming or purchasing, or how much money we're putting out there when it comes to consuming. So, and the reason I say this is because you want to balance the intake, the output and the input. If you're overdoing it and you're spending above your paycheck or whatever that you're receiving on a weekly or a daily basis, if you're overdoing it, it can lead to you not having enough finances to be able to take care of yourself. So you want to be able to set boundaries around this. And you also want to be able to set a boundary around how much you are on the luxury things that you purchase for yourself. Again, not overspending, but also not being too stingy with yourself and underspending. I think that's also that creates an imbalance within our finances. So knowing the right amount, and this is going to be bio-individual. So you will be the person that will have to determine the give and the take and the balance within your finances. So, but I think it's very important to set boundaries around your finances when it comes to how much you're putting out there, as well as what's coming in, which we want more to come in. That's never an issue, and that's never something of concern. I don't hear anyone talking or speaking about how much they're receiving too much money. If that's the case, please throw a little over here or give to charity. We all love money, but I think it's very important. That was a joke. But it was not a joke as far as giving to charity. I think that's a very wonderful act, which I love to do whenever I have the opportunity to give. And I think monitoring, again, getting back to our finances, monitoring the give and take, you want to create a nice healthy balance around the output that you are spending, the money that you're putting out there, and just monitoring how you are spending things and making sure that you're spending enough for yourself to be able to eat weekly or monthly, being able to take care of your finances, whether you are renting or you have a mortgage or you are realistically you have other bills that you have to pay. Whatever the case may be, monitoring how much you are receiving and being able to monitor how much is going back, making sure you're not overdoing it, and that you have created a nice healthy balance for yourself. So that's my little spiel on setting boundaries around your finances. And the last actually and final boundary that we want to consider as an act of self-care is setting boundaries around our work. Yes, because if you are like me and you enjoy what you're doing, sometimes you can overdo it, and that's not healthy. And the reason why it's so important to set boundaries around work is you want to be able to take the opportunity and the time to spend with the people that you love, your family, your friends. You want to be able to have time to be able to socialize and have a social life, because it's also very important to engage with and do things that are more pleasurable and that are a bit more fun. You want to add more pleasure and fun into your life. So setting a boundary around your working environment, such as making sure that you're not overdoing it with work, but you're also not underdoing it. So setting a boundary with work could possibly look like for you, this may be, maybe you stop at a certain point. You notice that you work a good 5, 6, 7 hours for the day, and you want to set a cutoff time because you want to spend more time with your family. You have kids, you have a husband, you have extended family, and you want to be able to have time to give to them so that you create a nice and healthy balance within your life. This is why it's important, creating that healthy balance within your life and within your social life. So that is the last and final way that you can set a boundary. Let's recap these boundaries as ways to self-care. First boundary we talked about was setting boundaries around people. The second boundary is setting a boundary around the technology that we use. The next boundary is setting boundaries with our food, and then setting boundaries with our finances, and finally setting boundaries around our work experience and our work environment. If you have found this video helpful, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you are able to get a great amount of motivation, inspiration, and knowledge from this video. And please stay tuned for more. And if you've liked this video around self-care, please check out the playlist that is linked to this video, where you can dive into other topics on self-care that I discuss in greater depth. And I want to thank you for being here with me. Thank you for taking the opportunity to spend time to care for yourself and find ways to care for yourself individually. And until next time, I wish you lots of peace, light, and much love.